definitely been my fear. Like, I think it's not my biggest fear, but definitely with this whole thing of my dad dying and stuff, it's like my fear is, especially because I'm a very sexual person, very hypersexual, I consider
Mm-hmm.
myself. Like, for me, just to want to have sex, to forget all about all this shit,
Yeah,
you know.
I
And
think I think you should be careful with that.
And now for my next number,
I don't think y'all ready for this.
I'd like to return to the classics.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binary familia, welcome to the JTX podcast.
Welcome.
hey, hi, welcome back. It's been a few months since I've recorded an episode of the podcast. Since I've posted, I think the last episode I posted was back in July, early July. And I kind of brought it up in the beginning of episode 19 that I was going through a family emergency. And it sucks to say this, but my dad passed away on July 29th of 2021, this year. And it's been hard. I'm sure, as many can imagine, I don't know if a lot of people can relate to, but it's been very difficult for me right now to do anything. Thankfully, I've been able to shoot here and there, but when it comes to actually recording and editing and such like that, it's been very hard. On top of that, it's just I lost my best friend. Like, it's my dad. You know it. Uh, Long story short, because I really want to get straight into the podcast. Also, there's gonna be no end credits that I usually do. Housekeeping at the end. I'll do it all right now. But um, me and my dad, we had a weird relationship because growing up as a kid to like early teenager, we were very close, and eventually we would fight a lot. Literally fight like with knuckles and such. Um, and then one day my mom and dad divorced in 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. So we stopped talking for a while. And then in 2019, I had just gotten out of a very toxic environment, you could say. So I was like, I want to be different. I want to change my life, right? And the first thing I asked myself is, what do I need to do? And the first thing for me was to make amends with my dad. So I decided to go to my aunt's house. I texted them, being like, "Hey, is my dad there?" They said, "Yeah." So I decided to go to my aunt's house, and we just hugged. When I got there, he saw me, and I really want to cry, but I'm not. Um, I was grateful to be able to be with him on his last year, even though it was COVID season. We still made it work. And in 2020, we just spent majority of the time together. We went to Las Vegas when things started opening up again, and we would just hang out. We would go eat together. We went to go work out. And then now, uh, all these things started happening. And he had to go to the hospital. Now he's gone. All right. So this is literally a day after his funeral service. I decided to go to Sacramento and spend time with my brother, my best friend, my other best friend, David, who if you've been following this podcast for a long time, he is the very first person on this episode, like the first episode. I think he's on episode 4 or 3, and he just has so much insight on so much. Like our conversations are just, it refuels me. It refuels me every time I see that beautiful man, and I love him so much, and I'm grateful to, especially after all of this that has happened, I'm grateful to be able to spend time with him, because genuinely he is the person that helped me through my darkest moments, and right now this is one of my darkest moments that I'm going through also. And just listening to his wisdom has pushed me to understand better how to approach things moving forward. So before we get into that, real quick, if you're not following me on Instagram, instagram.com/Jason Tamer. I have all my photography there. Also, www.jasontamer.com. But, and I kind of spoke about this, I officially have a book. Photo book. I'm still thinking about if I should sell this or not. I really want to, obviously, because I want people to. I know a lot of people who just love the photography that I do. Not to sound like weird. Look at that, perfect. Uh, so we'll see. If you just follow me on Instagram or check out my website, I'll have updates on there about what I'm going to do. But my first photo book is officially gonna be out, and I'm excited for that. Now then, sit back, relax. This will be a heavy episode, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Please enjoy the evolved man, my brother, my best friend, David. I think that's good.
Okay.
You want?
My name is David.
Yeah, actually, people have never seen you before. Well, I mean,
They haven't.
No,
they probably heard me.
The first episode you were on, it was literally just us talking in the wind at the park.
In the wind.
Remember, we were outside because.
Was it in the park?
Yeah, we went to that one park.
I thought we did an episode at your house.
We did do an episode of my house.
Oh, but the first one was at the park.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Which was a year ago of like a few.
Can I use profanity?
Of course.
Fuck.
Fuck who specifically?
I don't know.
Oh, now that you're being
people.
called.
Fuck
Oh,
people.
okay, all right.
Fuck people.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I am feeling grateful.
Grateful?
Grateful for life.
Thanks for that, because my dad just died. Thanks.
I mean,
no.
I think it's more to life than just what we look at as living.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's much deeper, but I think the experiences and the downfalls,
Yeah.
everything. I think that's life, and I don't think it's just as simple as breathing and not breathing. I think it's so much more to life, and I'm just really grateful to be experiencing and going through and evolving and unlearning and relearning and learning again, and just really experiencing. I'm grateful.
That's good. Yeah. Do you feel like after being, because you're 27 right now, it's just one of those things where you're really realizing how much it's important for you to like take advantage of the time you have?
Not necessarily. I guess it will be taken advantage of, but yeah, just living life as best as you can at the moment, and not really looking too much in what other people think you should be doing. What I think there's no one guideline to how anyone should be living their life, and I think it's important for people to do what makes them happy. Enjoy what life is to them, because that is different for everyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think life is unique, and I feel like we should do what makes us happy. It's simple. Life can all be so simple.
You were saying it earlier, and you did make a point where it's like, well, I mean, you make a lot of points, and I love that, but we tend to complicate too many things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the simplicity of just it being this and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Is so beneficial because we just want to complicate it.
Yeah, I think, it's a defense mechanism. I think a lot of the times we overcomplicate things to make it more comforting for us to deal with, but sometimes what's right in front of you is what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is take on what's right in front of you and accept what's right in front of you is what's right in front of you, and then decide, okay, what is the solution to whether it be a problem or just as simple as the next step. But it always, the first step is accepting, what is right in front of you. And, whether it be, we cover it up with religion or karma or, it's so many different things that we tag life on. And really, it is what it is. What's going to happen is happened, and it's up to you to deal with and navigate. And some people's way of doing that is putting it through a different channel to navigate. But
what do you mean? What kind of channel?
Like religion. Like if someone doesn't believe in something, or if someone doesn't have a definite answer or if something doesn't make sense or is not logical to them, they rather put something on it that is unexplainable, rather it be religion, or if something bad happens to them saying, well, that's just karma from X, Y, and Z, or if someone does them wrong, the way of them coping with that is saying, oh, they're going to get their karma. It's just, I think life is a lot more simpler than we try to make it, but it's also a lot more complicated than we even understand. I believe so. But I think at its core, before we can really dive deep into outside of us, we really need to dive deep in what's inside of us. So a lot of times we go soul searching before we even know where our soul is, or even know what our soul looks like, or even know if we have a soul, or even know what our soul is meant to do, whatever a soul may be. But that word soul is different for a lot of people. It may be energy, vibe, spirit, whatever. But a lot of times we don't understand ourselves, but we try to understand something broader, or try to argue what is life and what we should be doing, but we don't even know ourselves, what we're doing at the moment, at the present.
No, it's always interesting for me to see, and of course everybody has their different journeys, it's not all going to be the same. Excuse me.
You have to sneeze because you're allergic to cats.
I'm not allergic.
And I have a cat, and you won't accept the fact that you're allergic to cats.
I love Gary. I love Gary.
Let's see how many times Jesse sneezes during this.
Probably it's the second time I'm about to have it right now. Shit. Okay.
Yes.
It's always interesting when you start seeing a lot of different people, especially when they're at your age, but it's not till now that they start learning the things that you learned 5 years ago, a decade ago.
Yeah.
And, they start with that road of self-helping other people, which in turn, when they themselves probably aren't familiarized or have polished that area of their life, and then it's they're not focusing on themselves.
Yeah.
and you're just like, I see this, I've seen this before, and it's because I've seen it in me. I've done this before, where it's like I love helping people. People would come to me for their relationship advice, but when I myself had so many issues in my own personal dating life, right?
Yeah.
What what do you think is the appropriate time to truly be learning or trying to figure out like that inner, like focusing on the inner self?
I think you can't put it at any time because it is different for everyone. You know,
Yeah.
it's different for everyone, and sometimes you have to experience hardship. Sometimes you have to, you know, go through the best thing in your life for you to feel like, oh, this is what I need to focus on now. I think you can be 2,
Two.
10, 15, 50. I think there's really no age to it. I think, you know, again, like if I were to put an age to it, I would say that would be me saying that it's definite that, you know, this is where you're supposed to be at this time. Like you're supposed to be at the time in your life at, let's say, 25 to then, you know, start to be able to navigate and digest, okay, what do I want to do next? What does this look like within me? You would have to, but that's not real. That's not reality. Reality is, you know, everybody is different and they learn different at different times.
Mm-hmm.
I've came across people that at my age don't know anything, but to know nothing, to know something is to know nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, you know, really understand that you are ignorant. You know, like you were saying earlier, that, you know, there are people that, you know, really know a little bit of something and they, you know, expand that and make that, you know, now I am teaching and, you know, putting this on other people because this is what I believe.
Yeah.
And in reality, no one knows anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you will start to know more accepting that you don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much to know. Even if you know a fraction of a story, there's still 16 different parts of that story. And, you know, that's the most unique thing about history. That's why I love history, is that there's so much different, like, stories in history. And you might go to one resource and read something and then go to another source and it's something completely different. And in some middle ground, they actually, you know, correlate. And you're like, but, you know,
there's consistent patterns, right? Like,
yeah.
For example, what happened with well, I something political, with the whole thing with Donald Trump and, you know, Ronald Reagan. I think it was Ronald Reagan. No, Richard Nixon. And it's like there was a lot of correlations of like scandals and certain, you know, beliefs with approaching the Republican Party or approaching the Democratic Party. But it's like they're two different things, but still there was a lot of patterns and correlation. Or even like now versus what would be the ancient Rome, sure, you know, where, well, not even now, but like how strict they were with religion, being Christian being the main religion, versus, you know, persecutions of Christians.
Yeah.
Fast forward to now where it's like, especially if it's here, a very conservative, you know, authority, how they say you have, like, God is the way, God is the truth, but and then it's not so much as persecution, but it's just more of like, yo, like, we're kind of going against what y'all are doing and letting people be more open about things. Like, it's not the exact same thing, but there's patterns.
Yeah.
Right?
This is gonna be off topic, but and I feel like I might have asked you this on the last episode or the episode before that, but like, what do you fear in life? Like, what is something that you fear? And you know, just you might be something that you're working on and or not, but what's something that you're scared of? Like, what is something that, you know, it may not make sense, it may make sense why you're scared of it, but it's just something that you're fearful of.
It's crazy you say that, because I think the last time, I think you did ask me that, and I'm not sure if the last time I answered with being alone. and surprise, surprise, my dad died. So
Yeah.
it that is the most alone thing that I'm currently dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It's my worst fears come reality.
Yeah.
And I told you, like, I had a dream and I would have feelings, and then my dad would say some outlandish shit about like him dying.
Yeah.
So it's like there was that, and anytime like I would think about that, it made me cry. And now, and for me, it's like now that it has happened,
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck. Like, this is my worst fear. This is the thing that I never wanted to happen. Even just thinking about it makes me like my throat wanting to cry a little bit. I want to cry a little bit, but now that it's happening, it's me navigating that.
Yeah.
Like ultimate fear that I've always had.
Yeah.
So at this point, I can't give you a direct answer because it's already happening.
Yeah.
I'm already dealing with it. But I know I will become better because of it.
100%. I think, it's so interesting. I think, sometimes our worst fears are like our strengths in disguise. And, when we are faced with what we fear the most, and like we've talked about it, like my mom's passed away, and I dealt with the same thing, very similar to what you dealt with at 14. My mom kind of mentioning her passing, and it was always and like I still think of like, do people know like before they like die?
Yeah.
Is it a different like energy? Is it
Do you
something,
sense something inside of you being like?
And then once you like go within that, you have to think like, damn, then what is that feeling that they may get, which is a whole nother thing. But back to what I was saying, like I feel like, dealing with that situation, and that was my worst fear, losing my mom, and that was my best friend, and like the thing that I knew most. And then once I lost her, I remember telling her like a week like before her leaving, like, if you die, I don't know what I would do. I would literally kill myself because I don't know how to live. But she passed away, and I remember the next day something like kicked into me. I like missed school the day after, and I remember just kicking into gear, like life goes on, not like too much of like forgetting her, but like living in her name, keep taking that energy and using it to do something productive, because it's a really lonely place. And that's why I can really resonate with what you're saying. Like it's a really lonely place to feel like you lost a parent. That's a connection that, you can never repeat. That's years and years of history. That's something that you've known your whole life. And, you have to accept, especially us being not religious, we have to accept that this is someone that we may never see again.
Exactly.
This is something we have to absorb and like find a way to process that, okay, this is someone that, I spent this time with, and so much countless and like unmatched conversations or like experiences, even the bad. You start to look at all the little things that remind you of them, and it's like you have to still accept that, okay, I'm
never gonna see them.
I'm never gonna be able to do this. Like we've talked about before, like them not being able to see their grandkids.
Yeah.
Having to accept something like that, and just so many things. Like I remember telling my mom I would get her a house, and like, damn, I won't be able to get my mom a house now.
Yeah.
And still having, but again, like through our like, I have a different understanding of life now, of like how to live, of strength, of like I now feel like it's very hard to shake me because I've encountered my worst fear. I've encountered something that can't be explained. Like this is not like, not to be an asshole, but like if you haven't lost a parent, you really can't. You can't understand like what it's like, that feeling, that emptiness, that void.
One thing, especially throughout this whole journey right now, it's like when people say, I'm here for you if you need anything. what can you do for me? Like, this is gonna sound very like crude what I'm about to say, but in reality, like, physicality, can you offer me like some type of intimate for me to forget myself? I don't want to put you in that situation.
Yeah.
Can you offer me money for me to like pay for whatever services that my dad? No, I'm not gonna ask that from you.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm not saying like don't ask people, you know, hey, like what can I do for you? Definitely, because it's different from person to person. But losing a parent, and obviously not everyone can relate to this, it's a whole different beast. Like we talked about, it's not the same.
No.
You compared to like losing a cousin or an uncle
Or a friend.
or a
that you
friend
knew.
that you knew for a long time. Like, you know, I saw my dad's best friend yesterday, his brother. Like, he said it out in the pulpit, like, you know, I considered him my brother. He's going through his grief, but I'm sure it's not the same as what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Or whatever I'm going through, it's not the same way he's going through.
Yeah.
And it's an entirely different thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's different for depending on the relationship of whomever, you know.
I think, you know, one of the things that we have to deal with, like, you know, it's so scary losing a parent, but then like having to like learn new information about a parent is like another factor of like, you know, that is not like talked about. That's a whole nother just like psychological thing that you go through, because you're like, wow, like, oh, did I know that this like person, or like I know they love me and everybody's confirming they love me, but it like did I know everything?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost like it's you're gonna always feel like it was more I could have known. It was more connections. It was more
There's more we
I
could
could
have
have done.
talked
It
to.
was more we could have talked about. It's more like
Yeah.
you're gonna come across those situations where it's like, damn, my dad was the perfect person that like give me the answer to this. Like I wish he was here, but I feel like, you know, going through this process and going through this situation is gonna strengthen you, and you're gonna recalibrate and apply so much strong like new soft skills that are going to help navigate you through life.
Yeah.
That, you know, is essentially a piece of your dad, because you're going to have to adapt and evolve and, you know, manifest those pieces of him that's already in you that you may have not known that were in you, but
Yeah.
you weren't going to like be able to manifest until, you know, it's either he wasn't capable of giving you, or he wasn't here physically to give you. And I think, you know, that's something that's, you know, that we neglect from this experience, because it is an experience. It might not be a good experience.
Yeah.
It might not be an experience that we want to go through.
But it's part of your journey regardless.
It's something that, you know, if we're lucky enough to experience, because, and I say lucky enough because I wouldn't want to, I think the only thing worse than a child seeing their parent die is a parent seeing their child die.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're lucky enough to go through this experience, it's something that is truly strengthening. And, you know, it's beauty in a lot of the negativity in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes we have to focus on that to help and to support our navigation through our next whatever step it may be, is, you know, accepting, you know, shit's bad, but, you know, some good is going to come out of this, no matter how bad it may seem at the moment and how taboo it might feel to say or feel.
That was the conversation yesterday. I mean, I'll bring it up here, but like what I was talking with the pastor, right?
Yeah.
Where he was just like, it still irks me till right now. It's just, you know, where are you gonna be when you die tomorrow? You know, your dad, or, you know, brother Giovanni, isn't thinking about all of y'all right now. He's thinking about when, like, being in front of God. And then I switch out, and I'm just like, oh, because it was that whole thing of, you know, we'll see him again.
Yeah.
And then I go on, and I'm just like, I'm the atheist that he's talking about, just to let y'all know. But if, you know, for me to know, for my information right now, that I'm never going to see my dad again, there's beauty in that because I get to live his legacy out
Yeah.
in the now.
You actually get to accept, like, what he was.
Yeah.
You're not caught. It's really difficult and conflicting, for somebody that's trying to grieve, and you being a very logical person to try to go through this process, understanding that what I'm never gonna see my father again, or you may never see your father, because in reality we don't know what the afterlife holds.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
you may never see your father again, and trying to accept that, and you have someone telling you, no, not only are you capable of seeing your father again, but if you turn to this God, is what's gonna make sure that you see your father again. And it's like, nor is that not only is it not the place to do that, but like, you're wrong. you're wrong, and it.
Or it's like you're wrong, or it's like, where's your evidence to show me that?
Yeah,
Where are you basing this off of, other than the book that has been translated multiple times and has been changed in various of ways? But going back to the beauty, it's like, you're right. We don't wish anybody to go through this at all. I don't wish anybody to suffer a loss of a very, very parental bond, because it sucks. Yeah. Especially if you're there throughout the whole time. Mm-hmm. Like, with me and my dad, especially his last month, I replayed in my head being like, what could I have done differently to make sure he's saved?
Yeah.
Like, should have I screamed at the doctor, being like, do it now, or else, like, instead of being more understanding? Should I don't know, have been more on top of, like, the things that he was supposed to do? Should have quit my job?
Yeah.
To make sure that he could be taken to the appointments?
I think naturally, again, this is a defense mechanism that we have, is naturally when, we see wrong, or we see something bad or hurtful, or something that may be looked at as a negative experience or something, we try to place blame on something.
Yeah.
And sadly enough, majority of the times the first thing we try to do is place blame on ourselves. Yeah. And I think, again, life is a lot more simpler than that, and life is gonna happen. First thing we have to accept is that there is gonna be bad with the good, and through life there's going to be casualties, unfortunately. Yeah. Rather we expect it, rather we want it to happen, rather we not want it to happen, there's gonna be shit that happens in our life that we are not happy with. And it may be extreme, it may not be extreme, and that's just something that we have to accept, and on the day-to-day basis we have to accept that something might happen to us.
Yeah.
And that's something
but we could accept that, though. That's the thing. I mean, I can't speak on you, but I can accept that I can die me driving back to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But having my mom die or my dad die, knowing that there's so much more that could have been done with them. Like, I accept my fate. Like, I accept that I'm gonna die, and that's the reason why, like, I'm doing my photo book, or that's the reason why I'm studying to make sure I can, like, graduate ASAP and move out to Japan and do these things. But it's that thing where it's somebody else.
Yeah. But I think everyone has their own fate, and everybody's lived their own life and had their own journey, rather it be whatever connection to us or someone else. Yeah. I feel like, your dad had his hoorah. He had his journey. He had the things that he did in life that he's going to be proud of. People are going to remember him for.
That bang bus.
The bang bus. Like, you learn something new every day. Yeah. I think, like, it's going to, like, everybody is going to, and the beauty of life is knowing that, unfortunately, it ends.
Yeah.
That is the very, like, crazy, beautiful part of life, is that it isn't forever.
Yeah.
And, and to live life to the fullest is accepting that it doesn't last forever. And I think, looking at the parts of your dad that, he lived his to the fullest. He enjoyed himself.
Yeah.
We had these moments, and these moments will stick with me forever. And understanding that it won't be a day that you don't, like I told you before, it won't be a day that goes by that you don't think about your dad.
Yeah.
It won't. It's crazy how that happens. Like, you tell yourself that no, you're gonna forget about it, or you're gonna like eventually not feel bad, but you're always gonna have that with you. It's about how you utilize that energy and that feeling and that emotion, or which what some people will say them with you.
Yeah.
It's about how you use that to apply to your future and evolve and develop. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be an experience. It's gonna be a lot that you go through that you haven't gone through or felt or noticed or seen about yourself and other people. But it's gonna be important that you go through it. And I know for a fact that you're gonna come out strong at the end of this, because you have you've done it already. You're so like you haven't gone through this experience before, but you've already shown that you are capable of triumphy. Of going through the bottom and coming victorious. And I think that's one of the things that attracts me to you, and why I have such a strong feeling when speaking to you, and we vibe so strong, is that I know what it's like. I know what it's like to
Yeah.
be at the bottom and have to come up on the top in so many different ways, and having to feel like I'm at my pits and my low ends, and having to make my way and figure it out and learn and unlearn and relearn. And yeah,
Oh, you make me cry.
I don't make you cry. You make yourself cry.
You do not. I did not make myself cry.
I didn't say cry.
Yeah, no. It's just it's you saying that. It really definitely means a lot to me, of course. And like words like that to me just mean so much. Because it's hard to visualize that. It's hard for me to really realize that. Yeah. Like you're right. I've been through so much shit, and it's a lot of shit that I've caused.
Yeah.
But
Yes, that is true.
I've been through shit that I've caused, but I don't know. I guess I maybe just want my dad to see me. I don't. But then again, he never saw me in that growth.
Yeah.
I guess that I'm at that point right now, which is I don't know.
You don't know, and it's okay not to know. That I think that's a part of grieving. It's like being in a space that we're unsure of, not really knowing how to, because this is not something that we ever get used to. First of all, we don't ever really get used to like losing someone close to us, but especially you can't get used to losing a parent. You only get two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never something that you're gonna be like, oh, I know how to get through this. This is something that you're gonna navigate and have to like. It's gonna be things that happen that you can't put words to. You can't like experience like you have to experience. Like it's so much layered on like grieving and going through like losing a parent, and grieving for losing a parent. And I think it's okay to be tongue tied, to be like, I don't know what to feel or how to feel, or I don't know what I want. I don't know if I'm angry. I don't know if I'm happy. I don't know if I'm sad. I don't know if I'm delusional, if I'm going crazy. I don't know if I'm making this more than what it is, or if I'm like, you're not. Like, you just have to go through this and take whatever you can out of it when you can take out of it. But I promise you that you're going to be able to take something out of this. But you have to experience it. You just have to go through it. You just like, you're not going to be able to figure it out. It's not a puzzle. It's not one way and avenue that I just need to think about this. I just need to do this one thing, and this is gonna make me feel better. Because once you start doing that one thing, you're gonna realize that you haven't been paying attention to this one thing. You're gonna feel like that's what you should have been focusing on.
Yeah. That's how it was for my mom. That was when my grandpa died. She dived into some serious alcoholism. Man, that's my fear. That's definitely been my fear. Like, I think it's not my biggest fear, but definitely with this whole thing of my dad dying and stuff, it's like my fear is, especially because I'm a very sexual person, very hypersexual. I consider myself. Like, for me, just to want to have sex, to forget all about all this shit.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you should be careful with that. You know, I think you should be careful with that because, you know, whenever you connect euphoria with something that is a very deep feeling, or any kind of hardship, is that you start to use it as a crutch. So every time you get that feeling, you'll never be able to truly be able to heal, because every time you get the feeling of grief, you're going to try to cover that up with sex or whatever your drug is. And so you can easily become it can become that attachment and that cycle to where every time you get that emotion, oh, I need to do this to make sure I feel it, and it's going to just be harder to numb that pain to where you're like, it's uncontrollable. And now that one thing, that the addiction, that thing that you are using as a vice to fix, becomes bigger than the actual problem. And then you become blinded, and you're lost in a whole nother addiction, and you're dealing with a whole nother different trauma and experience in your life. And really, it stemmed from this one thing. I think that's like how we develop as people. It's like things happen, and if we choose to like cope with the wrong thing, that can become a thing, and then we start to use it to cope with something else to help with that, and then it becomes so. Yeah, it is something that you have to be careful with, and I'm glad that you're aware. And you know, because the biggest part is being aware and knowing that is something that's capable. It's different if you were sitting here like, you know what, I don't even want to talk about that because, you know, it's that real to me. And when you get to the point to where you don't want to vocalize it, you eliminate the factor that someone can hold you accountable for it. Because you're not even holding yourself accountable. And what you just showed me, and this is why I know that you're going to be able to come out on this strong, is that you're able to hold yourself accountable. You're able to be aware. You're able to not understand your emotion, but go through your emotions. And, you know, talk about them. And I think, you know, going back to what you were saying, when people tell you that I'm here if you need me, I think that's just, you never know what someone needs. You never know what someone needs, and just saying, hey, if you may not reach out to them, but you may need to. Someone that said that to you 2 months ago, a week ago, you may come across something that happens. You like, I don't know what it is, but I need to talk to this person. And you may realize that this was this piece of this puzzle that helped me. That's gonna help me go to the next phase of going through this process. You never know what someone needs.
So would you say that me thinking the way that I do right now, it's more of like the emotional state?
I think you're hurt. And hurt people. And, you know, naturally, I think you're right that, you know, I would agree that a lot of people don't understand, but I don't think it's wrong for people to try to, you know, it's just people can only do as much as they know. And I think, you know, when people are telling you, saying things to make you feel comfortable, I think they're just doing the best they can do. I think when people come up and say, hey, God, he's with God, or whatever the case may be, they're doing what they feel like is making you feel better because it will make them feel better. And, you know, people aren't that sophisticated. I think, you know, it's very simple. And I think, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, when people tell you like they're here if you need them, it's okay. Like, you never know when you may need them for what you may need them for, but hold them to their word.
But that's the problem. A lot of people, you can hold them to their word, but they backlash because all of a sudden it's like, I'm busy, or they're just like, oh, I can't, or they just ghost you completely,
Yeah.
right? And that's just from experience.
Yeah.
Like that's regular non serious thing that has happened in my life. All of a sudden, like that happens. So if you can't even be there for me when I'm normal, and
Will
then
make you think you're gonna be able to handle me. You're capable of handling me when I'm actually going through something serious.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's why I don't believe, like, there's a lot of people who say, oh, I've read this bullshit, but it's like, I'm not a consistent friend, but I'm there for you when you really need me. It's like, how can you really be there if you need me if you're not being consistent?
I think everybody has their own definition of consistent, though. I think, like, I had a friend once, and we had a fallout because I'm not the friend that's gonna text you every week.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I am a loyal friend. Like, if I actually resonate exactly with what you just said, is that if you need me, I'm there. And I feel like I have a unique loyalty to the people that I call friends, because as everyone that's my friend know, that I'm not too friendly. I'm not someone that befriends everyone. And I think that's just a characteristic.
Characteristic.
Yeah, that was just a characteristic of
Trait.
me, a trait of me. Is that I'm not everybody's friend. So when I befriend someone, I'm invested in you.
Yeah.
I'm invested in you, and that might not transpire in ways that the average person may see fit.
Yeah.
And that's okay. If I'm okay with stepping away from someone, if they can't understand that, okay, my true love and care and passion and wanting you to do good is not gonna be shown in endless text messages every day to just to say, hey, so you to only to validate our friendship.
Yeah.
I feel like when I'm with you in serious situations, and I show you my actions,
Yeah.
that I am here for you regardless of what I may be going through or what anybody else may think or say about it. I think that outstands anything.
But also, once again, you said it perfectly, your actions. And that was over time. Like, I don't know your situation with your other best friend, but, whatever y'all gone through when you guys were hanging out together, that should have been more than enough. And
that's what I thought.
No, exactly.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
And that's kind of like where it is on the same boat with us, right? Like, yeah, you moved, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk like we used to or hang out like we used to.
Yeah.
It sucks. But I've seen more than enough for me to know, like, when was the last time we saw each other? I want to say it was a year ago, right? Probably a year ago. Came over here, acted like we normally do.
Yeah, I think that's important, though. I think, like, because we have an understanding that, like, because we've, like, our relationship is unique, like, it, I feel like earlier in our relationship, a lot of people didn't understand our relationship. A lot of people didn't, see the connection and that dynamic of us understanding that people don't understand us, and us coming closer and, really understanding each other and not being afraid to, like, learn and, be vulnerable and, admit at wrongdoing and, just hold each other accountable. I think it was important and early on having that dynamic, and it was like, okay, well, if this person is willing to go through me, go through this with me, then I want to see nothing but the best for you at all times. Mm-hmm. Like, and I never feel the need to, like, okay, well, I have to, like, send him pom pom emojis every week to let him know I'm a cheerleader. Like, nah, like, it's like, I genuinely, like, wholehearted, like, when I found out your father passed, I genuinely, like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry right now. But
I'll put a blur on your face.
But like I genuinely like felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that weight because I know what it's like, that lonely feeling.
Yeah.
And it was like I didn't want to immediately like bombard you, because I know once you lose someone, everybody rushes to like try to comfort you, but in reality it means nothing, because they're just there to tell you, oh, my condolences.
As weird as it sounds, man, it's so weird to like say that, because no, I agree with you, but it's just so weird to just be on that end for me, because I'm usually on the opposite end, and then everyone just bombarding you. Like, I got so many messages from people being like, if you need to talk, I'm here for you.
That's what happens, and I and understanding that's what happens, and like I know people are rushing him and just like with so much bullshit, and when you're going through grief, like you already have the mindset of like, you telling me that you need me, but I know it's so easy to get that mixed up. Like, regardless of like our relationship, I know when you're going through something, it's so easy to conflict that well, this person just sent me the same text message, regardless of my actions. You're going through something that you've never experienced before, and I have to tread lightly, and I know what you're going through, but you may not really be able to connect that I know what you're going through, or really understand that that I can and be in a place to make that connection at the moment. But as a true friend, even if you were to like have malintention in your heart, because I said that, I would understand what you're going through, and again, my loyalty will still be with you to get you work through this with you. But again, it's a really, like, I genuinely, like I was saying, I genuinely had like, it weighed heavy on me.
It was actual pain.
It was pain, like, because it was like, I know what you're feeling, and I'm invested in my friends, and like I genuinely care about you. Like, even a person that like was my friend, or I don't.
Whatever the connection.
The person I had the situation with, I still feel strongly about that person. Like, I'm one of those people that once I love you and care about you, I care about you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we may have fell out, or we may have had not the best conversation, but if I care about you, I care about you.
Yeah. And
I can't hide that. I can't avoid that. And I'm a unique person. It may not transpire in the way that you like it, and I accept the you being vocal about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of it is, I can't change it, because it's really me. Mm-hmm. It's really me. I'm not someone that's gonna reach out to you every day, but when you hurt, I hurt, and I'm gonna do what I best can do to make you feel better. It might not be what you need at the moment. I feel like that's the same thing with people that are religious, is that they may not know what you need or how to help you, but they're just trying to help you the way they can. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, trust me, don't care. Mm-hmm. And it's just a trend or a moment, or that's just
this is
them
what they
saying. That's just out of like muscle memory that they act or say what they need to. But it's like, I truly want like nothing but the best for you, and that's why I know that this is something that you have to go through. Yeah. And I understand that this is something that you have to go through, and it's really no way of explaining what you have to go through, but you have to go through it. But I'm confident in the way that you're gonna make it through on top and stronger, with so many different skills that you didn't even really realize that you had, or you did realize that you had, that are gonna manifest, or you're gonna learn new things about yourself that you didn't know.
Yeah. And it's also kind of to go relay it back to what we were talking about, like the fear of being alone for me. The fact that I am by myself. Like, realistically, don't get me wrong, I have you and I have family, but
no, ultimately we're all by ourselves.
Yeah. And I don't have a partner to like go to in the end of the night and like be there and like talk about it every night. I feel like I will grow way stronger than if I was in that situation.
I think we build callous as humans, like, and I think the more weight that you carry of your own, the more weight that you have to carry at one point in time, is the stronger that you get, And right now you're carrying a lot of weight. The grief of a parent, is a lot of weight. And like you were saying, you don't have a partner, which only does so much, because at the end of the day, we still have to look within ourselves and deal with our pain and problems. But it does help to have someone, anyone to talk to, really, at times. But again, you're carrying so much weight right now, and you feel alone, and that all that weight that you're carrying is gonna like show itself and manifest itself in so many different ways in the future for you. And you're going to be so much more stronger because of all that weight you had to carry on yourself by yourself through this process. But it's important for you to accept that and
Yeah.
know this is something that you have to go through.
Yeah.
And through whatever, you're going to stay strong. Like through whatever, you're going to want more and want to go through this process. You're not going to give up. Like, because it's so easy to give up.
Yeah.
And that shows in so many different ways. You can turn to drugs, fall in any kind of addiction, just give up on yourself.
Or just give up in life.
Or just give up in life. But you continue to live
Yeah.
for whomever you lost. In this case, your dad.
And that's my goal right now. It's me continue on living. One of the things my dad would always say is like, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better. I want you to excel in whatever I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Just be better. And that's kind of like where it is.
Yeah.
I definitely want to be better than my dad. And I mean that obviously like in a very loving way, right? But also, I'm not going to cry. Also, I do wish he would see that.
Yeah.
So now it's just seeing where life takes me. And then when I have kids, they'll see that, But at this point in my life, it's definitely me learning to be a better man.
Yeah.
For me to be a great man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is being a man to you?
Rationale is the thing that keeps coming. Being rational. I'm not saying that you have to be a man to be rational, because obviously there's a lot of men who are not rational.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that you can't be emotional, because the way we talked about this, where emotions are superpowers, I do believe that.
Yeah.
But knowing that in situations, regardless of however the other person is getting at you, you're not letting your emotions act. Instead, you're letting your words or your approaches act. It's that for me. Just don't get angry real quick.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, what's the situation right now, right? I mean, that's what it is for me. Obviously, there's a lot more. But also one thing that always stuck with me because of you is, someone who takes accountability, owning up to whatever happened. You did what you did, you have to own up to it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with a lot of people our age, where like it's hard for me to do these things, and I see somebody else and they, in a sense, get away with it.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're just like, is this really what it is for me?
Mm-hmm.
But I come back to it and I'm like, yeah.
What is an emotional trait that you have that you want to like work on, or you want to, the direction of that emotion to be different?
the infatuation emotion.
Hmm.
It took me a long time to understand the actual, like, because growing up, it was always like, I find a girl that I like, and I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
I used it loosely.
Yeah.
And teenager, same thing, creeped out a lot of people. Once I became, my 19, when I started losing the weight, I used it a lot less, where it was just more of like navigating situations to make sure they were for my advantage.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got to just, when I did meet a woman that I liked a lot, like it was that feeling of like great emotion. I don't want to use the L word, but But now it's like I don't use that word loosely at all. Like if I tell somebody I love you, it's a genuine meaning of I love you, because I don't want to use it
Yeah.
because it loses its
Value.
value. It
Yeah.
does. But when I meet somebody that I'm attracted to, do I want to be sure to put emphasis in that right away? And realistically, especially this past relationship, like I noticed that, where in Spanish we say te quiero, which is kind of like I like you.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that a lot in the relationship. But to the point where I actually felt to say I love you.
Hmm.
But it's because I don't use that word loosely like that. It was there and I said it, and it definitely put her off.
Yeah.
And I can't blame her, But it's because if I say that, I'm not saying it just because. There's a strong connection that I feel. So I definitely want to work with that a lot more,
What do you think love is to you? If you can describe love, what is it?
Well, first we have to separate about the definition of being in love and loving somebody, right? Because being in love, I can't describe that. Like I've felt butterflies, but that's just also being nervous. But
So you're
loving,
saying you can't describe being in love because you've never been in love?
not that I know of, at least.
Okay.
But when I say love, it's like I'm there for you. Not only am I there for you, I will leave whatever I'm doing and head straight to you for whatever you need. I will open up a space at my place if you need to stay. It's a lot of things,
Yeah.
and I don't expect anything in return. And that's the problem with a lot of this, where, oh, I did a favor for you, so you should return the favor.
I expect something in return. Yeah.
That's for me. That's not love. At that point, it's a trade off.
That's really toxic. I think that's really toxic behavior in any kind of relationship. Even like a relationship is just really toxic to expect anything from someone because you're doing it or you're giving it. You shouldn't expect anything. You shouldn't do anything and expect return from anyone. Yeah.
But once again, man, it's there aren't people like that who understand that. It's I don't want to generalize it, but in my circle, it's been hard to find somebody who understands that. All right. Or if you let somebody borrow something, they don't give it back or they don't return back.
Yeah.
It's integrity. I think that's what it is, right?
100%. Yeah.
It's the integrity. It's not there anymore, and it's lost. And then it's. But there's always that part of me was like, I try to be understanding of the situations. But you can only be so understanding to a point, right?
You can only be so empathetic.
Yeah, to an extent. But for all I know, maybe that meaning for me of being a man will evolve eventually to something else.
I think our definitions of things evolve continuously as we experience. I think, being like, it was interesting as you said, like, as you know, as much as you never been in love. I feel like being in love is one of those things, is that you have your first girlfriend and you like experience something that you never experienced before, and you say, oh, this is my first love. In reality, it was just an experience that you had that you weren't familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in love is interchangeably. I don't think in love is even truly really a concrete thing. I don't think if you're in love with someone that you won't hurt them. I don't think if you're in love with someone that means you'll be with them for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I think in love is in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it can constantly evolve, because through the partners I've had, I would say the ones I took serious, I was in love with them. But I was in love with them for so many different reasons, in so many different ways. And I learned something new in the next relationship, and I was like, no, this is what real being in love is. Mm-hmm. And then I learned something new in the next relationship, and I was like, no, I'm really in love. So I think in love is something that you're forever evolving, and that's something that's forever changing, and something that you are always that's going to always be new, a new feeling. But I feel like love is concrete. Like,
it's concrete.
Like the way that you love is concrete. That can evolve too, because some people love in toxic ways and negative ways.
Yeah.
They show their love in not so many of the right ways, but love is normally the bridge between. It's normally a little bit more stable. And
but even you talking about it, it's like you're trying to puzzle the pieces together, because it's just like, legitimately, have you ever been in love in the same way that, not this again, but like, do you feel you can definitely say you've been in love then?
I think it's something that, it's so weird, because it's something that, yeah, I can say that I've been in love, but I feel like if whatever situation I'm in now doesn't work out, then my next situation, I can be in love again,
No, I don't know, by the way.
Which will be really, like, I feel like that's really difficult too, because I feel like if I'm ripped away from a person, such as if they're die or something like that, it can be a lot more harder to be in love again. Because it was that grieving process is unique in itself as well. Like, something I don't want to experience either is losing a partner.
Yeah.
Somebody that you truly have a connection with.
Someone that you try, that you, like, said, we're gonna be together.
Yeah, and to be ripped away from them due to whatever kind of death, is also a unique process. But I think without, like, other than that, I feel like you can normally be in love again. Like, I feel like, it may be difficult, it may take some time, but you can fall in love again. You're going to find somebody, because in reality, I don't believe in soulmates. I don't believe that there's somebody out there.
Anybody could be a soulmate.
Yeah. Anybody. I feel like it just takes enough attraction or enough things that you like about the person, that you feel like, oh, I'm willing to keep you around long enough.
Yeah.
Like, because everybody has their flaws, and it's about being able to, what flaws you can accept and what flaws are okay. And yeah,
I mean, I can't speak on it too much. It's been a lot of lust. I think the last person I was with, it was just that, where I felt something different. I don't like I've been with different women, and I don't think about the future like that with them. But then with her, it was like, I want to have kids with her. I actually wouldn't mind. But also, I am at that point in my life where I'm like, I kind of need to start thinking about this stuff, right? If she's not that point in her life.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because I genuinely like her a lot. Like, I really like her a lot. Yeah. Anything before we knock this out? Or you want to continue it? Any last questions before we knock it out?
Before we knock it out, I don't think so.
No.
I think. think I think I'm good.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you my last question.
Go ahead.
So a year ago, you were the first person I ever asked, what what is the catalyst that you would love to leave out for whomever you meet? What is that piece of advice that you would want people to hear who have been in your shoes, that you would want them to remember moving forward after listening to this episode? Where it's a year later, so instead of me asking you that question, and especially noticing that this episode has been very centric with my dad and his death, out of everything we talked about, what is the one thing you really want me to make sure I remember?
That you're capable. I think, being capable is something that's so, like, not noticed. I think, when we're in situations, we ignore our capability of, getting through it, or being able to be, we rather push ourselves down. And it's like a really odd thing that we do to ourselves, that we, like, when we are in trouble, we only try to circulate things that are things that's going to confirm that trouble, things that are going to make us feel like shit, things that are going to make us not want to move forward. And I think, you understanding that you have that strength and that power to move forward is the thing that I want you to grasp, because through this journey there is going to be times that you go through and you feel like, fuck, it's difficult. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know, I wish I had my dad to, like, help support me. I don't know if I can move on forward. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if this is worth it. But remembering that you're capable. Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. You just have to put that energy towards it to make sure and confirm that it's temporary, because that temporary can last long if you don't snap out of it and realize that you're capable. You are capable. You're capable. And that's what I want you to take from this, that, you have the strength to get through it, and you're going to be even stronger once you get through it. That's it.
I love you.
I love you more.
I love you more than
I
you
love
love
you
me.
more.
No, get the fuck out of
I
here.
love you more. I love y'all more. Psych.
I really do hope you know, and I don't care about this right now, but it really wasn't for you. Like, especially that night that I called you. It'd been a few days after, and I didn't know who to turn to. Like, you really mean a lot to me.
You mean a lot to me too. You really do. I think the very unique thing about a relationship is I know that you don't understand how much you, like, help me as much as I help you.
I really don't know how. It's crazy.
Sometimes I learn things talking to you, and
like Jehovah's Witnesses not being able to go to university.
not just literally information, that, like, just talking through things. I think it's so much power in conversation, and I think that's one of the things that, like, is very strong in our relationship, and one of the things that thrives in our relationship, and one of the things that helps us grow and evolve, is that we have conversations. We understand that when we talk to each other, we can talk to each other and bounce ideas and thoughts and how we feel off each other. And if it's bullshit, it's bullshit, but we getting it off. And sometimes we have to talk through the bullshit to come to an actual, like, the nucleus of whatever it is. And I think that's something that we've been able to do over the years, is just talk and converse. And that means so much to me, because in this world, it's not too many people you can talk to that aren't skewed for whatever propaganda reasons, or what they don't, like, really hold any substance is really hard to find. And whatever we talk about, it's always evolving, and it's questions and answers, and opinions, and we may disagree but agree and agree to disagree. But you know, conversation is so important, and
Yeah.
I think that that that's so important to me. That's so important to me. And you truly mean a lot to me. You truly mean a lot to me. And like I said earlier, like I truly invest in my friendships, and I, you know, I consider you a friend. Like, you know, and I'm sure you've gotten that. Like, I don't like befriend people and stuff like that. And you, that's because you mean something to me. You truly mean something to me. And
Well, I consider your brother, but so
of
much for
course,
that.
of course, of course, that, of course.
No, I do. Yeah.
But yeah.
You feel good?
Do you feel good? It's
I,
a real question. You won't feel good.
I mean, I think I told you too, where it's like, if we were to take the whole death out of my dad, like, equation, just take that out, I'm good. I actually am good. As weird as it sounds, I've had people tell me, you seem more confident, or it's weird, or it's even with my job, like the conversations that I have, like don't get me wrong, I get people who are just like very like horrible, but I'm like able to navigate it with no issue, right?
yeah,
But I feel like I'm starting to unlock something like there.
yeah,
I don't care about like whatever. This is gonna sound horrible. I don't care about what people think or my family thinks or anything. At this point in my life, I'm just like, I'm here with myself. Let's get to work.
yeah.
So there we go.
Let's get to work.